just a good-looking pan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck, you may be Donald Duck. Hooray for Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood! And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Yay! My lack of enthusiasm tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is because we're talking about The Gray Man, one of the most unenthusiastic, uninspired, self-indulgent piles of crap I've seen in quite some time. This movie sucks.
So, I was trying to explain to my wife what this movie was about, and beyond the plot, I said it was as if somebody programmed an algorithm into the screenplay 5000, and the first thing it did for the algorithm was 10 years of 80s action movies. And the second thing it did was a day's worth of Twitter dialogue. And that's The Gray Man.
Pretty much. Yeah, this is like all the worst of action movies. It really is.
It's like it's like when you watch like foreign mock-ups of Hollywood blockbusters where they just do a poor imitation of them and they don't know why these things are popular. They just kind of, we'll just do the Japanese version or the Arab version of Transformers.
Transmorphers, I believe is what they call it.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, well, this thing had robots punching stuff, so we'll have robots punching stuff. And it's like, ooh, you missed some of the other things in the movie that made it resonate with people and were popular.
Oh, please. The Michael Bay.
Oh, you're gonna get bogged down in my example and miss the point.
A little bit. Dude, I have seen plenty of those Asylum mockbusters, and they're hilarious. Like, you have to be in the right frame of mind to appreciate them, but they're funny.
I'll give you another example. The canon iteration of Superman 4, where it looks at the previous, at least like the Donner Supermans, and goes, okay, that, but with no budget. Like, that. Not that The Gray Man has no budget. It had Marvel money invested in this. And I think it was the pitch meeting guy who made a joke about that.
I really hope somebody got fired over that.
Well, if the joke in pitch meeting was, here's $200 million. Great. We'll get a really sexy, high price cast for this. Okay, but what's the movie about? We'll get a really high price cast for this, and there'll be some action scenes. Okay, but do you want to know what's in the movie? Not really.
Yeah, the exec like, no, we don't care. We're Netflix. We'll do anything.
Yeah.
We are the opposite of the WB Discovery merger. They do nothing. We'll do everything.
Yeah, it's the
I imagine
$200 million vanity projects.
I imagine the discussion for, again, the WB stuff went a lot like that when George Costanza and Seinfeld had that meeting. So what's the show about? Nothing. Everyone's doing something. We'll do nothing. Everyone's doing everything. We will destroy everything.
So, I mean, there's really nothing. Usually we have a fairly, like, a good 10 to 15 minute like preamble sort of discussing whatever this film engenders. This is such a nothing movie. It actually only engenders that Netflix is spending like a drunken sailor, which does, though, bring up the fact that in the news recently, Netflix laid off a bunch of people and canceled a bunch of things. So it's in this weird place of, well, here's the thing. We're talking about this as if like this just, appeared out of the ether. They greenlit this, they budgeted it, they shot it a couple of years ago. And now it's seeing the light of day. It came out a couple of weeks ago, and we're just now getting to it. But when you think about what's happened in the interim, somebody at Netflix was like, hey, is anyone actually watching the books? How much money do we actually have?
Maybe we don't set the giant piles of money on fire on a daily basis.
And maybe we don't spend $200 million on something that doesn't generate $200 million worth of new subscribers.
Just a thought.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question. as I say, maybe this doesn't engender a lot of conversation. It does, but not about the movie itself, about streaming. We're a couple of years into the streaming war. And the streaming war...
And the only casualty is the people paying.
Well, I was thinking about this. This is sort of a thought exercise, sort of waxing philosophically. It got sped up because of COVID. We all know that. And there was a lot of like tripping and falling over each other to create content because there was no movies to go to and people were trapped in their house. But there was also, people looked at the skyrocketing stock of Netflix and was like, oh my God, we have to catch up to Netflix and do that. And then shortly on Netflix's tail was Disney Plus. And Disney has this array of high-priced IP like Star Wars and Marvel and the actual Disney name itself.
To that end, like I saw this mentioned about to kind of jumpstart the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix has struggled lately because everyone wants their own streaming service.
Right. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, and Netflix doesn't have a lot of IP.
Right.
And it
does
is
stuff
kind
like,
of a
so
problem.
it does stuff like The Gray Man, to where, it finds like independent comics to adapt, like, or, it makes deals with certain publishers. So like Lock and Key, The Sandman, Lucifer. Well, it took Lucifer over from Fox, but Fox, that started out as a comic book.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, for a while, what was the stat? Like the most popular.
As I said,
for a while, the stat was like the most watched thing on Netflix was like Friends, or The Office.
Right, because it was leasing other people's stuff.
Yeah.
But it also was kind of the lone ranger the lone leader in that sphere, and then you had all this catch up. With HBO Max and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and this.
Turns out once everyone else built the infrastructure to equal Netflix's, then suddenly your content matters.
Right.
I mean, I'd bet money the most popular thing on Disney Plus is The Simpsons.
So I'm just curious, and we didn't really prepare for this. We're just sort of talking as friends and people that are interested in, tangentially or like following the entertainment trades and entertainment Twitter. And so we both see things, we both read things. And, we'll discuss it amongst ourselves as friends. But sort of in this public forum, I think the question is, what does the streaming war look like now? Because to me,
now it's everything costing $5 to $6 more a month.
Well, that's illustrative of a really great point, because I think the almost religious belief was, if we build it, they will come. And we can afford to keep the price low because everyone's going to sign up for our service. If it's HBO Max, everyone's going to sign up because we have the DC movies and we have Harry Potter and we have this and we have that. And we're going to just build on those things. Disney, same thing. And then it didn't happen. What people casually, anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have maybe one streaming service or two. Like when I ask people, hey, have you watched, just as an example, have you watched The Batman? No, I don't have HBO Max. Okay. What do you have? I have Netflix and Hulu. Okay. I had a guy at work like, have you watched Yellowstone yet? I have not. Like Paramount Plus is the only one he has. And of course, Peacock's not a real service. So
not really.
not a lot of buzz around Peacock original stuff. Though I think one of my friends at work told me that they watched the new Dan Brown show, which I got halfway through and then stopped. You made the right call. Yeah, I know. It's such a boring show. But my point is, like, I think now everyone, I think the party's over, and everyone's sort of looking around. The furniture's broken. There's vomit and alcohol stains on the carpet, and everyone's like, "Well, we have to clean this up. This is a giant mess." And and it's a lot of taking out the trash and retraction, and to sort of continue with the metaphor, people now have to move in with each other because they can't afford rent on their own.
Yeah, there's got a bit of pushback on Twitter. Okay, because everything is the culture war.
Yeah,
we're not really going to delve into the culture war here, but because everything is the culture war. When Netflix laid off a bunch of people, a couple of months ago, if you looked at like what they cut, there were people who got a little bit up in arms about, what do you mean because one side of the theoretical war is somewhat cheering this. Yes, they're firing or severely downsizing their diversity division.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there are people who got a little bit annoyed about this. What do you mean you're downsizing diversity? Diversity matters. And I wanted to put my head through a wall because you have one group of people crowing about this for no other reason than it pisses off another group of people.
Sure.
And another group of people getting pissed off because they don't understand how business works.
Right. And neither one of them is seeing why they cut the diversity department.
Like if I'm in charge over there and somebody tells me, okay, we need to trim X amount of dollars, what matters the least?
Well, I think beyond that, if you're realizing that you've bloated your content load, then everything involved in content is fair game.
Yep.
Because what you didn't mention, but was also equally talked about on Twitter, but because it's not part of the kitchen table social conversation, was the animation department.
Yep, that got at Netflix basically got rid of their in-house animation stuff. Now the animated stuff they have now, they lease. Like they agree to
the
air
Cuphead show. The Cuphead show comes from another studio.
Yeah, like whatever they were doing in-house, gone now. Just gone. Which if that's not driving, if that's not helping you break even or make money, then it is something that needs to be downsized. And it's ugly. And it's not pleasant, but that's how these things work. Netflix was never, and this goes for a lot of other things, business has a bad habit, and this is universally true of any business ever, especially the very successful ones. They act as though the way things are now are the way things will always be. Yeah.
So taking the temperature of the streaming wars now, without going back to the same tired metaphor, is basically like, and relating this back to the Gray Man, is the Gray Man is sort of one of the last projects of an era that has just now come to an end. Like the spending party is over. Yeah. They're obviously having to create new content. There's stuff being greenlit all the time in these other places, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, etc.
Yeah, but to your point, we're probably done with the $200 million flyer.
Yeah, exactly. We're done with the $200 million vanity project. So TikTok. Plot synopsis.
So the plot for this...
That's me looking later on, realizing, like, doing a Brian Last thing now. So whenever Jim Cornette's, like, doing a political rant that can't go on YouTube, Brian Last will hit two pieces of wood together so he knows right there, cut it. That doesn't go on YouTube. That's going on TikTok. I already have my title. On the Streaming Wars.
I'm sure it will get single-digit views.
It'll get probably less than my sex house post, but more. But more than my post. Hang on. I'll just jump in and interrupt you. Let's see.
Why are we doing
How are my TikToks doing these days? It's like my stocks. Okay.
Be careful with the analytics, man. That stuff will drive you nuts.
It'll get less than my sex house post because that got high numbers.
All right.
It'll do.
Did you crack triple digits?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I almost always crack triple digits for anything not involving you and me talking.
Again, we might get double digits on this.
No, we will do more than my duet where the girl punched me in the face, but less than the sex house post. Your plot's enough, please.
Okay, fair enough.
But much less, by factors of like 100, than my father ranting about Ron DeSantis.
Please never speak of that again.
I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor.
Like, that caused me physical pain. I think I really need you to understand this.
I do. All right. Plot synopsis.
So the plot of The Gray Man is convoluted and stupid.
You mean that you knew the FBI was setting up the CIA? Literally?
Don't start. So we primarily follow... My brother had a great line about this, actually. He asked me, we were down at my aunt's birthday party earlier this evening, and as we're getting ready to leave, he goes, "So what movie did you see this week?" I said, "Didn't see anything new. I already watched it. It was The Gray Man." He said, "Oh, that's got Ryan Reynolds in it?" And I said, "No, Ryan Gosling." He said, "Yeah, they're the same person."
Oh.
Like, if you put them next to each other, I know they're different people, but in the abstract, they're the same person.
I disagree, but I'm going to wait for my craft review to explain why, because I have a very specific thing I want to say about that.
I don't know, it made me laugh. Like, okay, you got Ryan, decently attractive to a certain segment, wants to be an action star. I mean, they're very different. Like, if you look at how they go about it, they're very different.
I had
But
to laugh at one point because he's Ken in the Barbie movie that's coming out next year.
oh, that's
And
why there's the Barbie a lot. That's why there's the line in there about the Ken doll. Like,
they
that's
wrote
the
that in
only
there
reason.
specifically. Okay, yeah, I was amused by that. All right, plot synopsis. Go.
You would be amused by that.
I
So we
usually-
follow Ryan Gosling's character, who is in prison for some nebulous crime of murder that Billy Bob Thornton thinks was justified, but old Slingblade here meets him in prison to recruit him into a special subset group of the CIA where he becomes some kind of hitman to one degree or another. We fast forward multiple years, and he's on a mission with where he meets briefly Anna de Armas because we're trying to make her a thing for nebulous reasons,
She's pretty and ethnic.
if you say so.
I do. I speak for the
All right.
trees.
Leave your wood out of this.
Ah,
That's why I said, wanted to phrase that carefully there. An
speaking of woods, a sad trombone.
an appropriate sound effect to accompany a discussion of your.
Move along, Shecky.
So, and there's a mid-level bureaucrat in the CIA whose name escapes me. It's Carmichael or something to that effect. Who cares?
Sure. It's so
Declan.
irrelevant. Yeah.
It's a D or a C, and it's whatever.
Yeah.
He's supposed to kill a guy. He doesn't kill the guy when he's supposed to kill the guy because there's a chance for collateral damage, and he's supposed to be a soulless killer for the government to just point and shoot, and he doesn't want to put people in danger. And now this whole program is a terrible failed experiment, and then he kills a bunch of people because being worried about collateral damage is all well and good until you have to fight a bunch of people in a crowded room who are shooting guns at you.
Mm-hmm.
The stupidity of that writing, just it hurts. Anyway, the long and the short of this is he winds up in possession of a flash drive that contains nebulous dirt on Carmichael. That's what I'm going to call him. And Carmichael wants it back, so we get a bit of a chase sequence where Ryan Gosling's not sure who he can trust. And because Carmichael doesn't want to use official assets, he subcontracts this job out to Chris Evans, who's the only one doing anything approximating an engaging performance with a whiny douchebag sadist who gets hired to retrieve the data. Crappy action ensues. Billy Bob Thornton's character is blackmailed with the safety of his niece, who he somewhat raised. Ryan Gosling rescues her, gets an info dump from Viola Davis, who blows herself up to buy them time. He then rescues the niece, who he had a brief interaction with a few years ago and now feels bonded to emotionally for some reason. They wind up going to try and rescue Billy Bob Thornton, who blows himself up to buy them time to escape, like you do. That's a theme in this movie, apparently. During all of this, Chris Evans winds up shot dead and framed for being responsible for everything, even though that's not how that works. I'm skipping over a lot because this movie is full of just the dumb. Ryan Gosling, it really is. Ryan Gosling winds up back in prison, from which he promptly escapes and goes to then rescue the daughter, the niece, who was being kept in house arrest for some reason. And all the while, there's a nebulous threat hanging over all of this of the old man, but there's another low-level CIA actuary who winds up in possession of the data, destroys it to try and buy herself goodwill, and they're trying to set up for a sequel, which will be greenlit, then ungreenlit, then re-greenlit, then who the hell knows.
So, all right.
This movie sucks.
The reason
There's no
why
two ways about it.
the reason why I disagreed about Ryan Gosling, I really enjoyed his performance because here's why.
Okay.
So, there is something very novel about the subtle action hero. And I think in terms of like I'm going to throw Lethal Weapon out there, and you're like, but no. Mel Gibson was like off his tit. Hang on. When I think about Lethal Weapon, I think about that was not antithetical, but definitely against the grain of your typical action movie.
Yes.
That's what I mean when I think about Ryan Gosling giving this sort of subtle, understated performance. I was also thinking about like Danny Glover, whose whole thing in Lethal Weapon is, I'm too old for this shit. Now, he vocalized that for comedy's sake. You know, I say the thing induces laughter in the audience, and it becomes a thing in Lethal Weapon. He has to say it now in every movie. It's like, I'll be back. Ryan Gosling doesn't have to say the thing. Ryan Gosling's face just says it all. And I noticed this when Sean and I reviewed Only God Knows.
Forgives.
Only God Forgives. How Ryan Gosling is one of the great modern masters of acting with his face, but more so with his eyes, and it being a very subtle, graceful, silky performance, which is not something you would associate. You would not associate those adjectives with an action movie. And I think that's what made this, the movie sucks, but I think there are elements of it that are actually quite novel and interesting and engaging. Ryan Gosling's performance is like top of that list. That's why I started there. Ryan Gosling gets hit with a motherfucking car in this movie. Ryan Gosling is shot by, the army of Panama, it seemed like. Ryan Gosling is in 2 or 3 different fistfights throughout this entire thing. And he
falls out of a plane in a CGI monstrosity that made my eyes bleed.
Yep. What did pitch meeting call it? The CGI blob. But he does it.
Not wrong.
He does it with the annoyed face of a frustrated father not trying to act out in front of his family. Like, just in a dancer's grace. It's pretty impressive, because I think everybody else, the knee-jerk performance, I'm thinking Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. There's a knee-jerk sort of gravitation to want to make that character Tony Stark. Make him quippy, make him quick, make him, jazzy, smartest stripper in the room, that sort of thing. And I like the fact that, and now everyone does that. Everybody has to be either Robert Downey Jr. or Ryan Reynolds. And I like the fact that they took their lead. I'm like, no. We're going to make him cooler than the other side of the pillow, but not jazzy cool. More of like
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, again, just sort of, I'm at the end of my rope, but I can't act like a crazy person. There's children present. Like, I adored that. I was like, this guy gets hit by a car, kind of stands up and goes, and in a single sigh, he's saying, what a day I've had. This is the worst day ever. I wish I were dead. But he never says that. He just says, and my favorite bit, to sort of wrap this up and move on to some other craft pieces, is at the end where you have what's her nuts Fenwick from Iron Fist.
That's right. I couldn't remember where I knew her from, but now that you bring it up, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jessica Henwick. She was Colleen Wing. She was Jessica Pava in The Force Awakens, and
look, she does nothing but get yelled at for this entire movie. And it's
okay. So at the end, she has her big, I'm a big busy businesswoman who don't need no man moment, and she gets to holler and yell at and nag Ryan Gosling, and Ryan Gosling, in the most perfect, most well delivered, most gorgeous bit of dialogue he has in this entire movie, raises his hand, and she kind of flustered goes, what do you have a question or something? Why are you raising your hand? He goes, does this plan involve me living? Because he's so annoyed with her. He's so over this whole day, and he knows he's bleeding out, and he's like, yakety yak woman who doesn't know when to shut up. Shut up. I'm going to die.
Stop monologuing. Stop exposition dumping.
Right. It was.
Can at least one other person in this godforsaken movie pretend to have some verisimilitude here?
Yeah, get to a point. So getting to a point, I love the fact that he was like any man talking to a woman, just kind of like, oh, please stop talking, I'm dying. Recognize the fact that I'm physically dying in front of you. Please stop ignoring the obvious. And she can't do it. And so he has to literally say out loud, I'm dying. Please move this on. It was great. It was like the most true thing in the movie to me, in a movie full of nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, Chris Evans. It's fun to see a villain chew scenery. It's fun to see Chris Evans just play the most douchebaggy of douchebags. I thoroughly...
Look, the only kind of quippy line that Ryan Gosling gets is when he meets Chris Evans and assumes his name and then just goes, yeah, between the white pants and the trash stash, you just kind of seem like a... I forget the character's name. Lloyd. You just kind of seem like a Lloyd.
Right. Look, we know Chris Evans from Marvel. We know him as Captain America, and it's very, very easy for an actor to get pigeonholed into roles like that. It's very easy for an actor to just keep taking roles like that because it's an easy paycheck. What I like about Chris Evans, and I'm thinking about Knives Out now, is how without breaking the furniture in his own career and like taking, the gay cowboy movie or something, he never ran to the avant-garde to wash himself clean of Captain America. He just took other roles and stretched a bit here or there as an actor. A really great example of that is Knives Out. We talked about this when we reviewed it. He gives a very pointed, stated performance in Knives Out that was markedly different from how he does Steve Rogers. And here, again, he's like, I'm a bastard. I'm an unequivocal jerky bastard. What am I going to do with that?
All I need is a Geordie accent, pointy ears, and a long greasy hair.
Yeah.
And so I like Chris Evans for the evening.
So while the plot of this is rock stupid and the action scenes are almost unreadable at times, the performances, I think, of your two main male leads are at least two legs on the stool holding this thing up at the very least above water so it doesn't completely drown. I mean, it's definitely like mouth out, and that's about it. But it's not completely underwater, sinking and filling with water and dying. Ana de Armas plays Ana de Armas. She did a much better job of acting in deep water. Hang on, she did a much better job of acting in Deep Water, where she actually played a character. Here, she's just wood with a gun.
I feel like the initial version of this script did not include her character.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point they said, hey, we can get Ana de Armas to be in this, write a character, but we have a story. Put Ana de Armas in this thing.
Right.
All right, fine.
And
she can.
And here's your woman action story. Here's something for the ladies. Ana de Armas. That's me doing the Richard Cheese thing. Here's something for the ladies, and then it goes into "Rape Me" by Nirvana.
All right.
Do you not know who Richard Cheese is?
Nope.
Does piano jazz covers, lounge covers of popular songs.
Okay.
And so in one of his albums, as he's playing the piano, he's kind of chopping a keys. Here's something for the ladies. Rape me again. Get it?
I understand, yes.
Okay. Do you need me to continue to explain it or do more impressions of his singing?
I mean, look, I can't stop you. Believe me.
No, my love. I'm asking if that's what you need.
No.
Please tell me your needs.
I need not to hear Nirvana ever again.
Lounge or otherwise?
Correct.
Moving on.
But of course, Nirvana, much like the Beatles, any cover of their music is better than their music.
So yes, this felt like, and now here's something for the ladies. Ana de Armas, and she comes and she sachets and dances with a fruit basket on her head, and she's out of the scene again. Thanos punches her and she goes away.
One could hope.
Those are my good points. The rest of it, this is the most convoluted, up its own ass, knotted. If you remember like the little kiddie workbooks we had as kids, like if you got one for like Star Wars, it would be like different little like Star Wars activities that you could do, and it'd be like a word search and a crossword, and the one I'm specifically thinking of is like C-3PO, but all of his wires are like it's half a C-3PO and his wires are all crossed, and you have to identify the wires and kind of straighten them out. Like you have to figure out which one's which. That's my best description of this plot. It is it is so knotted up and convoluted and nonsensical, but in this way that I feel like the writers of this came across feeling like we're so smart.
They certainly had a better opinion of their own writing than everyone who's watched this movie.
This comes across as smug. That's what I was going for. I wanted to say self-serving. Self-serving is not the right word. The writing of this screenplay just reeks of smugness, but it's the kind of smug that a stupid person emits, thinking they're smarter than they really are.
Yep. It's Twitter.
Oh, that darn Twitter again.
What am I to say? Twitter sucks.
That's where I get my boxing news. Anyway, and my entertainment news.
I'm not saying it doesn't serve a purpose. I'm saying it sucks.
Well, I curate Twitter. By the way, I know for years and years and years and years, you judged me for all of the
still do
for all of the porn chicks that I follow on there. You know, I've unfollowed them all. I have cleaned up my Twitter. Ask me why.
I'm going to assume you created a secondary Twitter account.
No, I did not create a secondary Twitter.
That is just for all of your pornographic material.
I have seriously cut back on the amount of like actual porn that I watch, like almost to nothing. And I cut back on the only place I still follow anything like porn adjacent is on Instagram, and that's just because I haven't gotten around to cleaning that up yet. Though I'm fairly certain if I start unfollowing all those people, I will have no one left on Instagram to follow. But
I mean, that's kind of the purpose of Instagram.
Yeah, no, that's why I think I haven't made the effort. I'm also not on Instagram all that much. I use it to do stuff for this, but in TikTok, but it's not something I play around a lot with. It's TikTok is more the thing I'm curating most of the time. In any case, my point being, I have cut back on almost all those things. And the point that I wanted to tell you, I needed to take this opportunity in our Filmcraft discussion to tell you, Robert Winfree, that I have unfollowed all the porn girls on Twitter.
Okay.
I will applaud myself. Thank you.
I'm sure they're heartbroken.
I'm sure they haven't noticed that's not what this was about. I am trying to make some positive changes in my life, and it was one of the small things I could do to at least. Actually, that's not even true. The real reason I did it was I would be scrolling through Twitter and I'd be like, variety, boxing, variety. Oh, that's an asshole, and I'd be afraid, and somebody inevitably would walk up behind me and give me a face sheet to work on while I'm looking at some gal's gaping asshole, and I'm like, you know what? I probably shouldn't passively be looking at gaping assholes while working. Maybe I just need to get all of this stuff out of my Twitter feed.
I mean, I'm sure all the deputies at intake tell themselves the same thing.
I feel like that's the end of my craft review now. You're witness. This movie's a gaping asshole. Go.
I agree. Look, this movie sucks. There's no two ways about it, and there's a lot of writing problems here that could have made this more acceptable. Let's start with the big one. I don't think Ryan Gosling is a very good action star. Now, to your point about his performance specifically, I get what he was doing, and I agree with you that it's a breath of fresh air relative to how every other action hero has been written. That's all true. But I don't think he carries action star very well. I don't think he performs. I don't really believe him in that sense. Like, I believe he's exasperated. I believe he's frustrated. I like that all I'm along there with.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he is this unstoppable, mostly indestructible Wolverine wannabe, I don't believe.
That is a fair point and not really something that registered with me. And I'll tell you why. Tom Cruise is Jack Reacher.
Which was also a kind of giant.
But I mean, if Tom Cruise is as Jack Reacher, ipso facto, Ryan Gosling is the Gray Man. If that is the world the world we currently occupy, I'm not going to continue to argue with it. They will apparently, put midgets in these roles and watch them tear everyone to pieces. And I'm just kind of over arguing about it.
So that's a bit of a problem. Again, his performance is fine in the acting department because Ryan Gosling's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
But he struggles to really carry the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a problem. There's a real problem with Chris Evans' character in the following way. Like I don't hate the character in the general sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're supposed to, and he's hateable, and I mean that as a compliment.
Yes.
But he is a piss poor villain in the sense that, like, he's a henchman. He's a goon. He's an engaging goon, but he's a goon. And you can't have a goon be your big bad guy. Like, there's there's no threat.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help that, his character throws temper tantrums.
I thought the final sequence where he just, like, after all of these carefully laid plans to catch this man and all of this destruction that's caused and all of these resources at his fingertips, he goes, you know what? Fist fight.
Yeah.
I mean, right out of the hackneyed school of screenwriting.
You're not wrong. It's a real problem. The writing of this movie also is characters and even background characters make the dumbest decisions for no reason other than, well, if we do X, then the movie ends. There's a bit where Ana de Armas has tranked out Chris Evans.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to kill Chris Evans at that point.
But the movie isn't over, says Pitch Meeting.
But the movie needs Chris Evans to still be there, so this violent sociopath who's tracking you down and is holding a small child hostage and torturing Billy Bob Thornton is helpless. And you might argue that Ana de Armas wouldn't kill him because she doesn't want to get in any more trouble. Fair enough. There's no reason Ryan Gosling wouldn't.
Is it John Wick I'm thinking of where they actually kill people appropriately? Where it's
yes.
Like, when the opportunity rises to eliminate somebody from the picture, they take it, or they write it in a way where it wasn't possible in that moment. Not you had every chance to kill Darth Vader or Obi-Wan Kenobi and let him go anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, John Wick does that actually quite well. So that's a big problem. They rehash a couple of beats. Again, like you go from Viola Davis with terminal lung cancer blowing herself up with the world's strongest grenade to 10-15 minutes later, Billy Bob Thornton doing the same thing. Like, did we run out of tricks? Are you that bad at your job?
Worked so nice, we did it twice.
The CGI's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
CGI sucks in this movie. It's just a mess. The drone shots. Oh, God, the drone shots. So many. Why? Why?
Because this is the Netflix movieverse and there's no self-edit. There's no collaboration. It's just, and now I'm thinking with my dick. Do, 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 do. And now I'm directing with my dick. Do, 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 do. I'm right. You might not have liked the way I did it, but I'm right.
You're right. I just wish that the movie's length had been approximate to the length of the director's genitals. Would have been a lot shorter.
Hey.
Ana de Armas does not need to be here at all. I mentioned that already.
Yeah.
Like, her character is totally superfluous and tacked on. Here's the big problem I have with this. And this is a massive failure of writing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to establish that the type of character that Ryan Gosling plays is going to blow up the world and all of his plans to save a small child, you need to establish a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
A 5-minute flashback where he takes her to the hospital once doesn't cut it.
Oh, but they did the bubblegum bit, which then is paid off later.
I don't care. Like, okay, fine.
No.
Bit, whatever.
Hang on. You're missing the fact that I'm making fun of the fact they think that qualifies.
That's true. Okay, that's fair. Like, if you're mocking them for that logic, yes. Look, there's a reason that when Tony Scott decided to take a burned out, badass character and try to rehabilitate him in the same way due to his relationship with a young girl, he spent 45 minutes establishing the relationship between Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning.
That's what I was thinking of.
Like these things take time and they take effort. And you throw in a 5-minute flashback where he does a nice thing for her once and suddenly they're bonded for life.
Right.
Like, no. I don't believe that. I don't believe any of that. I do not believe that this guy would risk his own life that many times, that many ways to save her.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that you left a giant, just the dumbest thing ever. You established that he tracks her down because her pacemaker has Wi-Fi or something stupid like that. Then he goes on the run with her. Any other idiot can track her pacemaker. You didn't remove it. You can't. It's a pacemaker. Like, this is the worst of writing that thinks it's good.
You know, there's a draft of this where they're like, what if we put it in an arc reactor? And they just got punched right at the table.
One would hope.
Stop it. Just stop that.
Again, the action is not inspiring. Like, there's an entire sequence where Ryan Gosling is chained to a bench and a kill squad that rolls up with RPGs and belt-fed automatic weaponry shoots at everything except the helpless protagonist. Why? No reason, because we don't want him to die. They're there to kill him, and instead they spend 15 minutes shooting at cops. Bad writing.
So there was clearly like a discussion about a set piece where wouldn't it be funny if Ryan Gosling was chained to a bench and is able to take out a small army? And they were so committed to the bit that they wrote it and they shot it and nobody cared how stupid it was. It's what they wanted.
Like, that's the tagline for a giant chunk of these Netflix movies. No one cares how stupid they are.
They wanted it. They was going to have it. And there was nobody in the room going, no, this is dumb. You either have to have a reason the bench thing works or don't do it. Kill your babies. And they were like, no, the babies have to live. All the babies.
And we're going to have our James Gunn Baby Driver sequence where someone listens to classic rock while an action sequence happens in the background. And just, why? Well, because people like that, right? Okay, but why? People like that? And you just, this is the point where you should be punching someone and removing and tearing up their script.
But then if anyone's like, what does he mean by the script writer 5,000? My friend Paul and I used to make a joke about the what was the Mike Goldberg 5,000, where he was, for those of you that don't know, he was Mike
Goldberg soundboard.
Yeah, he was the play-by-play guy in the UFC before he was replaced by all the ESPN people. And
hang on, he was replaced by John Anik.
That's right. That who was an ESPN guy.
Sort of.
So my point being, the reason why we made the joke, and it was like because we would talk about how Mike Goldberg
bad at his job. Just bad at his job.
He didn't sound like he was ever reacting naturally. Like, everyone makes fun of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan may have been like overzealous, but he was reacting naturally to things happening in the cage. Mike Goldberg would just say something because he felt like that was the job. It was the difference between early Michael Cole and Jim Ross. Jim Ross legit acting to a guy nearly killing himself in the ring. Michael Cole parroting what's being screamed into his ear by Vince McMahon, or screaming what he thinks Vince McMahon wants to hear, and it having nothing to do with what was actually happening. It was the most inauthentic, buzz-killing commentary you'll ever hear in your life. It was the same thing with Mike Goldberg. It always came across as inauthentic. It always came across as just not truthful. And there's a lot of
unprepared.
And there's a lot of what goes on. So back to the joke about the thing 5,000. When you sound too much like a disconnected computer, just parroting out information that you put into the algorithm, your whole thing comes across as inauthentic. It comes across as vapid. It comes across as vacuous. That is the biggest problem with The Gray Man, is that this is someone's foreign bad impression of an action movie not an actual action movie.
Yep. It's, again, this movie sucks. It doesn't need to be as long as it is. I respect that you were engaged by Gosling's performance. I wasn't.
Okay.
I acknowledge that what you said is correct. But again, if we're just talking like, was I personally entertained or engaged? Not especially. Like I like the idea behind what they were doing with him, and I appreciate if Gosling was the one who kind of said, "Look, I'm not going to do a bad Ryan Reynolds knockoff."
Right.
Then good for him for having the intelligence and the wherewithal to make that kind of call.
My God, could you imagine The Gray Man but Red Notice?
Yes.
I don't think I would have been able to finish it. I think I would have called you tonight and be like, "Can we please talk about anything else? I can't do this."
Yeah,
I will talk about all kinds of crap.
Well, not as much as you used to.
True. All right, you want to talk about the money?
Sure, we can talk about the weekend because
Here we go. Here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
All right. I mentioned before that the Gray Man has a $200 million budget. I guess it had a limited box office. Let me go ahead and The Gray Man began a limited theatrical release on July 15th, 2022, followed by its release on Netflix on July 22nd. Yeah, we're about a month late on this, but that's okay. I want to stop there and just kind of tweak your nipples and grab your ear on this. I've been listening to the Box Office Pro podcast, and they talked about last year. They talked about The Irishman, which is still playing in theaters, not like it's still playing features, like the movie is still going.
yes, it is.
They talked about how
played in real time.
This was especially true when there was lack of features in the theaters just after opening up again post lockdown, and in that interim window where studios were reticent to release anything, but the movies were open and they were just hot for content. There was a push to do limited theatrical releases of streaming movies because there are some people who, yes, the vast majority of people want to watch these things from the comfort of their home for a variety of reasons, but there are some people that just like the experience, you and I being those part of that group, that just like the experience of seeing a talkie on the big screen. And so Netflix and Hulu and some others made it a point to say, look, it's going to cost us almost nothing to do this. There's a space available. There's at least somewhat of a demand for this. So who cares? It's not going to eat enough into our books to put something in the theaters for a few weeks before everyone can see it on streaming. To that end, this thing in its limited theatrical run made $454,000. I don't know how much of that even covers the cost of putting it in theaters, but it is what it is. Though Netflix does not report theatrical grosses for its titles, distribution insiders estimate the film made around $200,000 from about 400 theaters in its opening weekend. IndieWire estimated the film made between $300,000 and $375,000 over its full first week of theatrical release. Viewership: Netflix reported the film was streamed a total of 88.55 million hours over its first 3 days, which would equal around 43.55 million viewers. It was. Are you ready? Are you ready, Robert?
Sure.
It was the most watched film in 84 countries. Look at me, people. God damn you. Look at me. Look into my eyes. This is why we can't have nice things. You bastards.
I can only assume those 84 countries were all places where you could not see other movies during that same period of time.
Well, that's a lot of torture. We'll get to this in a little bit later. It's already been greenlit for a sequel because, of course, it is. Oh, and a spin-off film, which will explore the different element of the Gray Man universe. Look at me. Look at me. Look into my eyes. Stop it. Stop it. Stop with the fucking cinematic universes already. Jesus motherfucking Christ.
This is what happens when Netflix is desperate for some kind of IP.
Not just them. And it's not
But
just
other
desperation for IP. Everyone's been falling over themselves since 2012 in the Avengers. Like, oh my God, now we all have to do cinematic universes. Robert, the Radulich and Broadcasting Network has to have a cinematic universe.
Yeah, but look, when we tried that, and
tried, and none of these were successful.
Not only were none of them successful, that third iteration where you gave me my own show, like you understand that you basically gave me the Image Vertigo imprint to work on over there. I turned in some dark stuff that you never let see the light of day. Okay. You said this is not canon.
Okay, I gotcha. Anywho, so just stop, please.
But we are part of the larger interconnected podcast universe. We're just a smaller corner that no one likes to talk about.
So this is why I insisted we keep doing the money segment, because this is fun. The number one movie of the weekend was Dragon Ball Super Superhero, which was distributed by Crunchyroll, and in over 3,000 theaters grossed $21 million. I'm just, it's so funny because like the big headline coming out of Variety this weekend was Dragon Ball Z beat Beast. How do you feel, Universal? Like, so today, and again, another reason why we do this segment now, because this sort of doubles as a entertainment news segment. It came out today that once again, for like the second year in a row, Halloween, the Halloween trilogy movie Halloween Ends is going to go day and date. Excuse me, having troubles tonight. It's going to go day and date on Peacock. Talk about that for just a second.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot to say about that because the day and date thing, I don't understand it. I mean, you've got Halloween's actually a decent IP that has a good track record at the box office. I don't understand why they're shooting themselves in the foot like this. But to just very briefly about, the Dragon Ball Super beating Beast, this really shouldn't surprise anyone. Now, the exact numbers might be a bit of a surprise, but you should not be surprised. I mean, look, I am all in favor of new. I am all in favor of creativity. There's a very real argument to be made that we're living in a post-creativity world in some respects. I'm not sure I buy it entirely, but there's an argument to be made. So having a fairly large budget entry into a well-beloved franchise that's easily accessible to families go up against your R-rated thriller set in the wilds of Africa and is Idris Elba fighting a warlord and a lion. This shouldn't surprise anyone that Beast came in second to that. Like, there's a lot going against it in those respects. But I do want to give Idris Elba a shout out for being a good dad. Mm-hmm. Because I assume you've heard the story.
No, I have not. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. His daughter, who wants to be an actress, wanted to play one of his character's daughters in Beast. Mm-hmm. And he insisted she audition. Oh, and apparently the screen test did not go well, so they did not cast her, and apparently she wouldn't talk to him for 3 weeks.
Well, that's on them to process that, and her to not be a spoiled brat.
But again, shout out to Idris Elba for being a good dad. Like,
yeah,
he handled that appropriately. Like, the only string he pulled was to make sure she got an audition.
There's nothing wrong with getting someone an opportunity if you have the power to do so.
Yeah,
it's ignoring the talent in that opportunity and granting the opportunity, the job anyway, the gig.
Yeah.
In the face of lack of talent, that becomes the problem. In any case,
your widely accessible entry into a much beloved franchise that's again available to families. You could take your kids to see Dragon Ball.
Found out today my kid's not a fan of Dragon Ball.
Which one?
Lily's not a.
No, Dragon Ball is not. Dragon Ball is very much not what she would enjoy.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I thought Dragon Ball Z was a juvenile anime, and so just I as the old man here, kids must like it. I had somebody, an adult who I've been talking with recently, had to point out to me that the kids these days, they scare the shit out of me. They also, they like the My Hero Academia and the Demon Slayer. They're not the crowd that likes the Dragon Ball Z.
Well, My Hero Academia has gone down in quality a lot, and in fact, just potential spoilers here, just killed off the most popular character that they had going for them.
Terrific. Anyway,
it's a choice.
Right, so,
I respect it.
So yes, Universal has egg on its face, and I don't know how much of this played into the. This is a supposition on my part. I am just making a lot of assumptions here, so I'm okay with being completely wrong about this. But it just feels like Beast comes in second to Dragon Ball, with no other competition, and they just freak the fuck out and we're like, you know what? Let's just cover ourselves. Let's put the thing on Peacock. Here's the thing about that. I'm just kind of going down the list here. Like Easter Sunday should have gone straight to Peacock, didn't. The Black Phone could have gone straight to Peacock, but didn't.
Now, the Black Phone, again, could have, but did just fine with its wide release.
The Beast absolutely should have gone straight to Peacock, but didn't.
What was the budget on Beast, real fast?
I'll tell you in a second. Let me go to the Wikipedia page. Yeah, Beast 2022. The budget on Beast was $36 million, and it's made $23.1 million according to the Wikipedia page.
So it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna do gangbusters, but at that low a budget, it was never supposed to. Like Beast will be okay.
We'll see. Bullet Train dropped from 1 to 3. Top Gun Maverick 2 to 4. DC League of Super Pets, which is now available on HBO Max, 3 to 5.
For another couple of weeks before they axe that too.
Yeah. Thor: Love and Thunder 4 to 6. That just got its streaming date, which I believe is September. The week of September. I think it's like September 8th or something like that, because I'm scheduled to watch that with my wife. Charcuterie, Cocktails, and Thor, September 10th.
Wow.
So that week.
So you'll be moving from the 3rd to the 4th circle of hell.
Things I do because I am a loving husband. Minions, The Rise of Gru dropped from 6 to 7. Nope, 5 to 8. Where the Crawdads saying 7 to 9. Bodies, 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 which... Did I read something about like that made some sort of news? Like, that's so vague. Did I read that Bodies, Bodies, Bodies made news for something or other? Like, does that ring a bell? I feel like people are making a big deal about it, and I don't know why.
I probably did well in some foreign market.
Or it's bothering or something about it's bothering people. I don't know. Who knows? That fell from 8 to 10. Elvis made news this weekend. He came back to life. No. Elvis, the Baz Luhrmann movie, is the most successful Baz Luhrmann movie since The Great Gatsby. That dropped from 9 to 11. Orphan First Kill, which I think is a straight to Paramount movie, I guess had a limited theatrical run. In about 498 theaters, and it debuted at number 12. All right, here are all the movies currently doing better than Morbius.
Mark's homemade sex tape.
My TikTok feed. Actually, I did that bit way too early. It's supposed to be that's what I did last week too. I'm looking at it for the weekend, and it's not even showing up in the weekend anymore. I got to do it in the worldwide box office. All right, so your worldwide box office is currently as follows: Top Gun Maverick at number 1, Jurassic World Dominion at 984 at number 2, Doctor Strange 954 at number 3, Minions 836 at 4, Batman 770, Thor 737, Watergate Bridge 66, Fantastic Beasts 405, Sonic 401, Uncharted 401. Here are all the movies better than Morbius.
They're all better. Hey, look, there's a bunch of movies that have done less money than Morbius that are better movies than Morbius too.
Sure. Elvis, The Bad Guys, Lightyear, even Lightyear, which bombed.
Even Lightyear
did better than Morbius. Too Cool to Kill, Nice View, The Lost City, which nobody saw, still did better than Morbius.
Congratulations, backdoor attempt to get into the MCU. You lost to a crappy adventure movie starring Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock in 2022.
These next few movies have at least half a chance of doing better than Morbius. The Black Phone, Bullet Train, Scream. Well, no, not Scream. Death on the Nile. No, not Death on the Nile.
Nope.
Nope. And not DC League of Super Pets. All right. Well, this bit is now done. All right. Moving on. Next weekend, or this weekend coming up, the weekend of August 26th, we've got 3,000 Years of Longing, which we debated doing on this show and then decided against it. Instead, we're going to do Samaritan, but that's in wide release.
Mark wanted to talk Samaritan, so we're talking Samaritan.
So did Pat. This is showing as a wide release. It's actually straight to Amazon Prime.
I'm just saying during the week, Sylvester Stallone will say something in the press that will annoy Pat, and this whole thing will be for naught.
The Invitation, which has been getting some decent buzz, is also in wide release this weekend from Sony. And Breaking, twisting and turning, your feelings are burning, you're breaking the girl. I've read Hot Chili Peppers on the brain because I'm going to see them next month. And that's in wide and that's in wide release this weekend coming up. On the September 2nd, wide releases are Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. Jesus Christ. That's about it there.
That is in fact in the title of the movie, yes.
September 9th, we've got some Indian flick. Barbarian, which we thought about doing and then decided against it. And then Medieval, which I actually also thought about doing and then decided against it. So we're still in the kind of doldrums here, though at least Barbarian's getting a bit of marketing going for it.
A little bit, yeah.
The weekend of the 16th, there's The Woman King. That's the big wide release of that weekend. But in its competition is the X prequel Pearl.
The Woman King paid to be advertised on the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
please tell me people booed.
No, like I just mean like commercials.
Okay.
So like this is brought to you by, or we get a commercial.
Yeah.
Look, MMA fans are some of the most they're some of the most egalitarian in the world. Like women's boxing can't draw for crap. Women's MMA is a big deal. Like, MMA fans have no problem watching women kick ass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you thought that means they'd be a good target audience for this movie.
I can't imagine a movie bombing worse than The Woman King in our current climate, but we'll see what happens. Willing to give it its.
And then, look, this is going to generate at least a month's worth of navel-gazing think pieces from angry bloggers about why the patriarchy, the white patriarchy, wants to keep down the Woman Kings. Oh,
yes, man. Yes, sir. So, all right. So on the weekend of September 23rd, they're re-releasing Avatar. Watch that when it's weekend. Like, given its competition is the Railway Children return.
It might. It very well might.
Looks like Don't Worry Darling is only getting a limited release that particular weekend, and I guess it'll get a full release later on because I've been seeing like massive amounts of like commercials for it.
I've not seen anything related to it. Did not know it existed.
Oh, okay. I'm actually surprised by that because I've seen it a few times now. All right, folks, and with that, the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yep, that's about right.
Look at me. Look at me, all of you. See that? That's your fucking fault. It's your fault that in a world of infinite shelves, they're being lined with bigger and bigger piles of shit. You're not supposed to eat the bowls of shit, everyone. You're supposed to push the bowls away, not dunk your face in them like you're bobbing for apples. For Christ's sakes, read a book. I don't know what to tell people anymore. What the hell?
Here's what I want to say to all the people out there. Congratulations, you have turned Mark into me for this movie.
These are for you, McNulty. These are for you.
You know,
Moving on.
just related to the McNulty thing very briefly, occasionally you quote bunk at me, insinuating that I am McNulty. I just want to say, I don't know who I am specifically from The Wire, but you and I both know that I'm not McNulty, because if I were, I'd show up to every podcast 20 minutes late and talk about whatever movie I wanted to talk about, regardless of the schedule you put out.
And then be indignantly mad at me that I
Be mad
insist
at,
we follow
then
the
be mad at
schedule.
you for making a schedule. Like, how dare you make a schedule? How dare you follow the numbers? Don't you understand? The numbers destroyed the podcasting network. And then my my final season arc would be burning down the movie theaters around your house, making it look like.
I can't decide if you're Lester or you're Daniels.
Ow, that hurts. Like, that wounds me physically.
All right, moving on.
I'm not Lester, because I would never go along with McNulty's fake serial killer. I would never. I don't know if that makes me Daniels or not, but I would never.
Daniels always did the right thing. Daniels may have crossed the wrong people, but he did it for the right reasons. I feel like you're Daniels. You always do the right thing.
When have I ever crossed you, even if it was the right thing to do?
There's a reason the Radulich and Broadcasting Network is compared to a cult. Anyway.
Okay. No. I know who I am. I am, and I hate it, but I know who I am. Oh, you want me to tell you? I am the fat homicide duty sergeant.
You're Jay?
I go along to get along.
You know, you do spin a nice yarn, but it's not graphically about you masturbating. So you got a little work to do in that area. Who am I? Am I McNulty from The Wire? Am I the drama?
You're. I can't remember the character's name.
This movie is so bad. We've now pulled a you, Alexis, and Jason, and just not talking about it anymore.
You are the Polish captain who gets promoted to commissioner at the end of things. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But
that's funny.
You bring your children on, and you try to get them, and you try to push them along the path.
I have vendettas. I will absolutely use every resource at my disposal inappropriately to bring down my enemies. And
God help you if you deviate from what you set up. What do you mean you're actually looking into police work for this? I just wanted to arrest Frank Sabatka. Here you are tracking money that's being laundered through the biggest heroin dealer in the country.
And dangerously close to being punched in the face by my by a relative. Anywho, moving on. The Gray Man has a star-studded outline of entertaining action thriller, but it's filled with a lukewarm leftovers from far better films. We said that.
We agree with the critical consensus. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, really, 46%. But for those of you just listening on audio and are like, what is he getting so excited? What is he getting so excited about? 90% audience score. People are review bombing, and I don't want to talk about it, but I just need to say this out loud. People are review bombing She-Hulk.
No. Look, here's the problem with that. I don't want to go into this either, because it gets into a deeper conversation that we're not here to have. To all of you out there who might engage in review bombing, please don't. For the following reason, because it gives them an out.
Right.
It lets them say we're being review bombed.
Right.
Not. And
let the thing fail on its own merit. Stop helping.
Yes. Like, look, Benjamin said something on Facebook about She-Hulk the other day, and I get where he's coming from. He said it's just a tongue-in-cheek David E. Kelly style legal sitcom. I don't know what people are upset about, and he's not wrong in the sense that that's what She-Hulk is kind of trying to be. Here's my only response to this. If it had actually been written by David E. Kelly, we wouldn't be having these problems.
Yeah.
Like She-Hulk and Boston Legal is what that show should be.
Right.
1,000,000%. You need competent writers to make that work. They don't have that. You have. Here's the best line about She-Hulk. This comes from Jeff Harris. It feels like a bad sitcom I wouldn't watch if the Marvel name wasn't attached to it.
Boy, but doesn't it say a lot about the Marvel TV shows that, they're getting by on like name alone and not on quality? Audience says, add this one to your queue with confidence. Action fans, please don't. The Gray Man has a great cast, exciting set pieces, and a solid story.
Oh, get bent.
1 in 3, people. 1 in 3.
I'll give you half a solid cast. The rest of that is crap.
All right. Let's see. Chris Kennedy of the Canberra Times, Australia. This is an old-fashioned popcorn film and a violent feel-good fast of flash and sizzle, and consuming it just makes you feel good. I don't feel good.
I didn't feel good. You know what? We have lost what it means to be an old-fashioned popcorn movie, because you would not release a 2-hour masturbatory action movie and call it a popcorn movie 20 years ago.
Yeah. It's a little vapid, but things blow up real good, and Gosling is up for it. Okay.
And here's Jingling Keys.
Akara Kirk of Get Baby. For me, this is like Time Pass, but like the good kind. That is barely a sentence, sir.
I'm going to hope English is not your first language and this is badly translated. That's it. I'm going to give you the benefit of that doubt, buddy, because otherwise, what the hell?
Jackie K. Cooper, from JackieCooper.com, waking up from his med-induced coma. Strong character leads mixed with enough action for the most jaded adrenaline junkie. Gosling is a smoldering assassin, aided and abetted by Ana de Armas. Hang on one second. Smoldering assassin. I mean, that's an opinion, and that's a nice use of adjectives. And then his next line, aided and abetted by Ana de Armas. That's not a review. That was a fact of the movie.
This guy is still desperately trying to get written on DVD covers.
So it literally, he's like, Gosling's hot and Ana de Armas was there. Is that what you meant to say, sir?
That's all he said.
The duo dazzles. Yeah.
No, they don't. They're not even really a duo for the majority of the movie.
So this is a rotten review, but I love Scott Mendelson. He is my spirit animal of Forbes. How is Netflix still so bad at this? We've been asking that question, Scott, all hour long.
You are not wrong, sir. That's a valuable question to ask.
You're right to ask that, Scott. Susan Granger of SSG Syndicate. Frenetic and forgettable, this gun-riddled action thriller continues to glorify active shooter emergencies.
Oh, get banned.
Oh, my God, lady. Take a Xanax, please.
How in the world... It's a stupid action movie. We're going to try and draw a line from dumb action movies to the disenfranchised, psychologically damaged people who decide to commit suicide and take as many people down with them as possible. You don't understand the first thing about the psychology of those poor, demented, evil people that do that enough to even remotely comment on that kind of situation, much less tie it into something this stupid. Shame on you.
Adam Kempenar of Film Spotting. The most glam dad enjoys while folding laundry movie ever. Top critic. How did a top critic manage to put those words together in what he thought was a sentence?
I don't know. And you know what? No. You don't put this on while you're folding laundry, even if you're a dad folding laundry. You put on a movie that can just be in the background that you actually kind of care about. It ain't this.
All right,
put Jurassic Park on in the background.
So somebody fucked up. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was like the right kind of fuck up before I make fun of it.
Okay.
TT Stern NZ of WXIX TV Cincinnati, Ohio. A blast. The film works because Brad Pitt is really funny and engaging guy. Hey,
I'm
Rotten Tomatoes coding people.
I don't know. Hang on. I don't know if that's Rotten Tomatoes or if that's this guy.
Well, hang on. I clicked the link. Stop. I clicked the link. He's talking about Bullet Train. That links to a Bullet Train review.
This is 1,000,000% on Rotten Tomatoes getting this wrong.
Yes.
Oh,
that's fucking hilarious, bro.
That's a pretty epic screw up on their part. Yeah.
That's really funny. Where's my friend? Where are you, friend? Come out, wherever you are.
Lee
Lead Patch of Herald Sun Australia. This movie was way too much for him. Forgive the movie for occasionally crossing the too violent line, and a gripping good time is to be had here.
Okay, idiot. You are not the arbiter of too violent, first of all. Straight up. You are not. Second, unless you're showing this to 5-year-olds, there's no way this crosses the too violent line. Small children, probably too violent for. Literally anyone else. Mark's daughter would have no problem with the violence in this movie.
Charles Kaplinski of Real Talk with Chuck and Pam, who also clutched his pearls and had the vapors while watching this movie. The fact that this is on Netflix denies the viewer of seeing the spectacle on the big screen, which is a shame. However, it proves to be an advantage, as being able to pause the film periodically is a plus. You'll need to catch your breath now and again.
No, you'll need to restart your heart from boredom.
So when they were fighting at the end, I totally had to fast forward through it. I so didn't care. Oh my God.
There's so much of this movie that's imminently skippable. It's just, It's not good.
I definitely zoned out once or twice during the action scenes. Patrick McDonald of WBGR FM 93.7 FM Monroe, Wisconsin. Thrills, Robert Winfree. Don't you understand?
I'm reading it. Just keep going.
Thrills on the level of an all-around-the-world Die Hard. I'll read the rest of it in a second. But I do miss the bygone era of comparing everything to Die Hard, and I'm glad we had this throwback to a bygone era. Directors, Anthony and Joe Russo out Bond. All right, sir,
you
this
do
isn't
it,
a game. This isn't a game. This isn't how many fucking action movies can I name in a single review. Stop it. You got the gig. You got the gig. We know you watch movies. Stop it. Out Bond multiple times. Better than the current Bond. Chris Evans played the villain to the hilt, proving that a trash stash and white pants can work on certain types. Great. Stop. Stop.
You're not supposed to write ad copy for this thing.
Jesus motherfucking Christ.
Tick bird.
Yeah. Indeed. So much rotten. Where's my friend?
Not enough rotten.
Where's my friend?
Probably didn't see it. He probably saw it. He got a little bit there and went, you know what? I'm going to save myself on this one.
The future ex-Mrs. Winfree, Carla Renata, the curvy film critic. I get a special joy out of reading her reviews to you. I'm going to start doing them in sexy voice.
You don't have a sexy voice.
Love. The Russos.
It works even less with you doing your own bad Barry White music impression in the background.
And I'm always down.
I have never been less aroused in my life.
For a good spy adventure. Yes.
I may never become physically aroused again.
Yet, the gray man left me wanting just a tad bit more. Having said that, this is all-star cast led by Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling are everything. And who doesn't love Alfre Woodard as a badass?
You mean the character that's on screen for 5 minutes and then commits suicide with a hand grenade?
Maybe she's remembering her from Iron Fist. Not Iron Fist. Luke Cage.
Yeah, where we trashed. Oh, there he is. You finally found your friend, Mark.
Hey, buddy.
He was hiding all the way down. All the way down there.
I'll always find you down there, Kevin Carr. Every time I look down there, you'll be Kevin Carr, a fat guy at the movies. There's some decent. There's some decent. When did this get weird? This bit.
When you decided to start doing this with "Hey, Kevin Carr."
Hey, Kevin Carr. I'm
Kevin
purring at him.
Carr, come out and play.
Kevin Carr, come out and play.
$20 says he doesn't know the reference there.
Either one of them, because I was doing Twisted Sister. There's some decent accents there. There's some decent action set pieces and a formidable cast, but not enough to pop out of summertime filler.
No, look, hang on, because I think that's a mostly fair review. Here's the only thing I vehemently disagree with. None of these action set pieces are decent. If this is your standard for decent, your standards are too low. Like, seriously, demand better.
We'll do one more of these and call on a night. Let's see here. Matt Hudson, What I Watched Tonight. Mark Radulich of What I Watched While Stroking My Cock.com.
That's just OnlyFans, Mark.
Hey, ladies, if you would like, never mind. Whilst it may not be particularly innovative, The Gray Man offers enough exciting action, 2 game leads, and plenty of spectacle over substance. As long as you don't expect too much, you'll have fun with this.
No, I did not. Look, I didn't expect too much of this, unless you mean I expected it to be coherent, visually or narratively. That was my expectation. And it disappointed me on every level. No.
Well, folks, that is our review of The Gray Man. Next week, we've got Samaritan, the Sylvester Stallone superhero picture that comes out this Friday on Amazon Prime. We are then going to take a week off, and I will catch up with Alexis Haina. She will actually be taking over the co-host chair, as she's going to start taking some of the TV reviews for me, at least in theory. I don't want to promise too much. People tend to disappoint me. But she has threatened to do some television reviews for me, and her first at bat will be with me so that I can hold her hand and caress her and tell her she's pretty. It'll be Upload Season 2. We'll see how much of a disaster it is. The following week, we're either going to be doing Dark Harvest, if it actually...
She's getting called up from narcotics to homicide.
Yeah. If Dark Harvest doesn't actually hit the theaters September 9th as it's threatening to, then we will do Pinocchio, which hits Disney Plus on September 8th instead. The following week, we will take another break, and I'll actually be doubling up on some television. We'll be reviewing The Orville and Star Trek, and then comparing them from one to the other. No, just kidding. We'll be reviewing The Orville on Monday, and then Star Trek Strange New Worlds on Tuesday. And then we're back on a special Monday edition of Damn You Hollywood. I'm going to make Robert watch a porn. How do you feel about that, Robert? We're going to review porn. What do you think?
You can't make me watch it. You want me to be present for the review? I will stare here awkwardly and sling zingers at you if it makes you feel better. But
me and Robert are going to live watch naked, just Donald Duck in it, just a shirt on, no pants.
I will not be pantsless for this.
We are going to be reviewing in vascular detail the Netflix Marilyn Monroe biopic Blonde. Seriously, that's what we're doing. It's NC-17. That was the joke here. Why are you staring dead-eyed at the camera?
Because that stars Ana de Armas.
Hey, we're getting a lot of Ana de Armas in this year. I'm going to get Ana de Armas all up in you. That's the plan.
There are days when I wish I had the moral courage of Daniel sometimes. I will show up to our review of Blonde 20 minutes late, more than a little wasted, and talk about something else that I want to talk about. And then at the end of it, you can go, you happy bitch.
That would be McNulty, not Daniels, by the way.
I know. No. Like, I will turn into McNulty. You're pushing me there.
And I know, but you said Daniels.
Oh, no, I wish I had his moral courage, because instead of crossing you, I'm just going to undermine you.
Okay, so you wish you had Daniels' courage to be McNulty.
No, I wish I had Daniel's courage in general. Instead, I'm going to turn into McNulty after a little bit.
Okay, well, you're going to watch Blonde, and we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be fabulous.
or I'm going to grow a beard and start reviewing books while you're trying to review this, and I'll just turn into Presbeluski teaching small children.
Perfect. Please bring dice. All right, and then we'll be reviewing The Munsters from Rob Zombie. That'll be appearing on Netflix as well. That's October 4th. I've heard a rumor that Evil Dead Rise will be appearing somewhere, possibly a theater, possibly a streaming service. One never knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. So if Evil Dead Rise actually shows up somewhere that's watchable, then we'll do that on October 11th. If not, we'll figure something else out. Maybe I'll do Hocus Pocus anyway. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. Right now, mystery. But I saw today that Evil Dead Rise had a release date. So fuck it. You know, I'm sure you want to talk Evil Dead, so that's what we'll do. Halloween Ends, currently now announced to be on day and date on Peacock. Will be in theaters and on Peacock on the 14th. We'll review it on the 18th. And then another special Monday edition of Damn You Hollywood. We'll be reviewing Black Adam, which will actually be in theaters, no fooling. The Devil's Light is threatening to come out on October 28th. What the fuck is happening with movies right now? So we'll probably maybe we'll contemplate a review of our own November 1st. I don't know. It's all weird. Things that are weird this week. Thursday, we'll be reviewing the new Five Finger Death Punch album, Afterlife, and doing a Metal Hammer of Doom, a Metal Hammer of Doom Extra, where I will talk about renting dungeons. So, Robert, I know you had concerns about wanting to go on Airbnb or VRBO, or whatever it's called, and renting a sex dungeon hither and thither. You can do that. And I'm going to talk all about it on the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra.
This is relevant to my interests.
I'm a tumor. You happy now, bitch? Do your plugs.
You know, I'm the one who needs to start saying that to you at the end of these things, because like, you're the one getting your way.
I often hear that from people. So it's all about you getting your way. Anyway, that should be our new sign off. Instead of be well, be safe, and behave, just be like, you happy now, bitch? Click.
No, that doesn't quite work. As for my plugs, I cover professional wrestling a few nights a week, AEW's Dark Elevation on Monday, MLW if they release something on Thursday, and WWE SmackDown on Friday. So be on the lookout for any and all of that. I cover the UFC events when they have them on Saturdays. This last week was UFC 278. Which emanated from my home state of Salt Lake City, and I might have applied for press credentials, but I remembered I don't have a laptop or a tablet or something that would allow me to actually do my job while present at the venue. So, did not. But not the best night of fights. A ton of fighters did not respect the elevation here. So, a lot of fighters gassing out, but in my opinion, the most dramatic comeback and title win maybe ever, with Leon Edwards head-kicking Kamaru Usman in the 5th round of a fight he was losing and winning the welterweight title. So if you want the full report, that's over in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com, or if you want to hear me talk about it, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast on Sunday evenings / Monday mornings. So you can listen to that wherever you're listening to podcasts. If you plug that in there, you'll be able to find me talking about mixed martial arts. This week, I also talked about the big boxing match, Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua, and why Glenn Feldman should never be allowed to judge a petting zoo contest.
Is he the one that gave it to Joshua?
115, 113.
That would be incorrect.
7 rounds to 4.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Whatever he got paid to submit that scorecard, that's your severance package. You're done.
Look, let's look at the forest for the trees. At least now we're going to get Usyk versus Fury, which is all that I care about. Allegedly.
A lot of hurdles still to overcome on that one. Yes. I hope it happens. I really do.
The least of which is Tyson Fury not acting like a lunatic. We'll see what happens.
Oh, no. Well, look, Tyson Fury can act like a lunatic all he wants as long as he does not behave like a lunatic.
Wrap it up. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh, do you?
Please.
Didn't you go right before we started?
I gotta go again. Sometimes people go more than once. Sometimes people can go again and again.
So when was your last prostate check?
Your mother. Just finish already, she said.
So that's where you can find me doing other things. Mark mentioned the other upcoming reviews we have, so that should be a good time. Yeah, I believe that's it for me. So on behalf of Mark, choose better movies than The Gray Man in the future, please. Please.
Like the Munsters.
We expect so little of you, people. Mark expects so little of you. I have no I've given up on the lot of you. I ask almost nothing of you, and on the rare occasion I do ask something, you still disappoint me. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 still didn't make as much money as The Secrets of Dumbledore's Stolen Election.
Thank you for listening to the My Two Dads podcast. Be well, be safe, and behave.